Jeremy, thank you. We all experience grief differently, and no matter how we cope, it's important we have a way to cope. Licensed social worker and grief counselor Phelicia Glass leads programs on this topic. She is with us today. And Phelicia, you're always smiling, which is, I don't know what that means, that you're a grief counselor, but yet you smile. And maybe that's where we should start the conversation, with a positive attitude. Gosh, it's such a wide-ranging issue. Grief is tough.
Yeah. Grief is hard work. It is hard work. So the thing that I always talk to people about is that, one, we all have experienced some form of grief, and if we haven't, we will. The other part of it is that we don't have to go through or experience grief alone. And so as a trained grief counselor, I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do it alone, and all of your feelings are valid and they're yours to experience.
I think that's something that a lot of people question is, am I doing this right?
Yes.
Is there a wrong way to grieve?
Absolutely not. There's not. You know, in history, we talk about the stages of grief, and they're all very valid, but they make people believe that there's this start and stop in the end. Well, guess what? That's not true.
We should go right through denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance.
And accept it and move on. Look at you, right?
But the truth is, like you say, we can go back and forth on those stages.
Absolutely, like a roller coaster some days. And so the other part of it is understanding that I may never experience some of them, and acceptance doesn't mean that I am over my loss. And so the thing that people constantly say is, why do people tell me to move on? Why do people tell me just to get over it? Well, guess what? I have loved someone and I've lost someone, and they're a part of who I am. So getting over it is not what I'm going to do. Learning to live with their physical absence, I absolutely can do, but that requires me to embrace continuing the love within myself.
Is it wrong to get stuck, and I hate to say the word wrong, how do we know if we're being unhealthy in how we're coping with our grief?
You know, absolutely. So if we're doing things that are harmful to ourselves, alcohol, drugs, things that are taking us way left of our normal self, we're definitely getting too far away from it. If the grief and the grief experience is causing your life to be on hold, you can't get out of bed, you can't return to work, you can't parent, you can't love people, you literally can't embrace who you are every single day. So I call it the new you, because you're never going to be the person you were before that loss. If you cannot walk into that new you slowly, making little gains day by day, then you should talk to someone.
What about if you're the opposite direction? Because sometimes people look at someone who may be grieving, but on the outside, they're like you are all the time. They're happy, they're smiling, and you think, well, something must be wrong, because how can she be smiling if her loved one just passed away?
So it's also important to understand that people deal with grief differently. There is no right way or wrong way to do it, and no two people are going to do it the same. So just because you experience your grief and you have a different type of acceptance regarding your grief around how you want to hold it, how you want to carry it, that doesn't mean your way is wrong or my way is wrong. It just means we're doing it differently. So in my life, I've lost some significant loved ones in my life, but I celebrate through my grief. It doesn't mean I don't cry. You just may not see me cry. Mm-hmm. But I also might do things like, I've had parties for my brother who passed away. I celebrate by making their favorite meals. I do sunset meditations to honor them. I might light candles. We have a table at our home with all of our loved ones' pictures on it, or most of them, that we've gotten to a place of acceptance with, and we burn candles for them. All of those rituals are yours to own. They're yours to embrace and yours to share.
You have a program coming up that you're inviting people to, and you're calling it Grief Movement.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yes, so Grief Movement is actually a research-based program that I am trained in. And so really Grief Movement is about embracing all of your feelings and emotions, coming to a place of acknowledging them, but honoring all of the energy that comes with those feelings and processing through a way of release. So it's kind of like yoga, but it's all about acknowledging and bringing presence to the person that we loved or the situation that we were in, and honoring the emotions.
There is literal movement
literal
involved.
Movement.
How does movement connect you with your emotions?
You know what? The reality is our body holds everything that we experience. So if we can imagine yourself holding that and being present with it and releasing it back to the earth so that you may heal in the process, it's amazing. I know, right?
There are still a few spots left in Grief Movement. It is coming up Saturday at historic Harley-Davidson at Southwest 21st and Topeka Boulevard. Cost is $20. Phelicia does need you to pre-register for this because there is limited space there. So there's a Cash App, Venmo information there, or just email Phelicia Glass, lscsw@gmail.com. You can also find that contact information by checking out her website, thegriefcounselor.com. Check out that if you are interested, or check out Felicia's website because you have some other screening tools for mental health on there as well that are very valuable.
I always encourage people, we should know our mental health status at all times so that we can take care of us.
I appreciate you coming in, Phelicia.
Thanks
I
for
just
having me.
appreciate you. Thank you so very much for being here. You're always great to share information. A concert